Minister of Morocco, you have the floor.
Gracias, señora Presidenta.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Cristina Fernandez-Kirchner. May I begin, Madam, by welcoming you and thanking you and Argentina for convening this meeting on a subject that is of utmost importance, not only for all Latin American countries, and we welcome the presence of many foreign ministers of Latin America, but it's also of importance for all the African countries represented here. And may I, in this connection, express thanks for statements by so many outstanding personalities from CELAC, UNISOL, the League of Arab States and the African Union, who have given us insights into this important subject. And we welcome also the presence and contribution of the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Before beginning my statement, may I offer Ambassador Samantha Powell our congratulations, and we assure you of our fullest cooperation in working both in the Security Council and the wider United Nations. The subject of today coincides with other efforts by the United Nations and by regional organizations and sub-regional organizations in bolstering association between such organizations in order to meet the challenges of peace and international security, and to deal with crises of many types that destabilize entire regions and impact millions of people. Morocco attributes particular importance to the role of regional organizations and sub-regional organizations and their cooperation with the United Nations, consistent with the UN Charter and in keeping with the parameters laid down in the various relevant resolutions of the Security Council. In the light of this specific commitment to peace and development and respect for human rights, some organizations have become major protagonists in working with the United Nations. Since Morocco became a member of the United Nations, our country has consistently contributed to the achievement of the aims and principles of the United Nations, whether in peacekeeping, in international security, and in promoting cooperation for development, which are two sides of the same coin. Morocco is also a founding member of the African Union and considers stability and development of the African continent to lie at the forefront of its foreign policy priorities. And on this the basis of this long-standing international commitment, Morocco is now participating and seeking to step up cooperation between the United Nations and the African continent, with full respect for the specificities of individual members. And in this same context, my country has participated in international and regional endeavors to arrive at the settlement of numerous disputes, both in Africa and in other countries. And it is in this same conviction that Morocco has also supported the democratic processes ongoing in numerous countries. Morocco has a long-standing tradition of solidary commitment to our neighboring African countries, and we support all UN efforts aimed to enhance security and stability of countries throughout Africa. We stand ready also actively to participate in any endeavor to meet such challenges in the future. Madam President, it cannot be denied that the regional organization and groups play a major role in achieving the regional and continental aspirations. We have closely followed events in Latin America, in the Andean community, in UNASUR, and we, in our continent, in Africa, are engaged in achieving similar ends. We are observing the Gulf Cooperation Council endeavors, where crises are being resolved. For instance, in Yemen, we have also worked hand in hand with other members of the Council to seek the resolution of the conflict in Mali, involving African regional organizations, including the Central African Economic Community and the Community of West African States. And it is in this same spirit that we work now in building the Arab Maghreb. This is a priority for my country and will contribute to the stability and prosperity of the 5 member countries of that organization. This Maghrebian aspiration remains a priority for Morocco, since it will lead to sustainable development both for the countries of the Maghreb and in the region more broadly. Recent events in Mali call on both the countries of the Maghreb and the Sahel countries and their countries to step up cooperation in order to deal not only with security challenges, which are extensive, but also to deal with the democratic challenges and the challenges of economic development. And such endeavors call for major efforts to achieve coordination, cooperation, with a view to promoting an inclusive security approach of a preventive nature, of a multidimensional nature that incorporate all aspects of economic and social development likewise. And so we commend the implementation of the UN integrated strategy that has recently been adopted by the Security Council. I will not dwell further on these matters, except to say that in Africa today we have major instruments and tools that are needed, such as the Community of States of the Sahara and the Sahel, that work towards the furtherance of such prosperity in the region. May I also laud the cooperation that exists between the League of Arab States and the United Nations. In order to boost this cooperation, we have worked with the German presidency of September 2012 towards the adoption of a presidential statement, which has recently led to a seminar. We hope that closer relations and enhanced cooperation between the League of Arab States and the United Nations will contribute to success of the efforts that are currently ongoing by the US administration to contribute to the conclusion of agreements with a view to finding a solution of 2 states, Palestine and Israel, living side by side in peace and security, consistent with the strategic objective of the Arab Peace Initiative. And may I end at a time when the United Nations is seeking to enhance its association with regional and sub-regional organization, may I say that in connection with international peace and security, we must take due account of the following 6 elements. Firstly, we must clearly understand and have a clear vision and respect for the provisions of the UN Charter and the charters also of the regional and sub-regional organizations. Secondly, we must take into due account the responsibility conferred on the Security Council in ensuring international peace and security. Thirdly, we must avoid duplication that might hamper or delay the solution of any conflict or dispute. The United Nations, fourthly, and the regional and sub-regional organizations must adopt a conflict prevention strategy. Fifthly, we must resolve the root causes of conflict and combat any trends that will lead to instability or terrorism. And here the United Nations and all member states individually are appealed and invited to enhance their support for efforts to achieve sustainable development and to contribute to the success of reform and democratic change and good governance. And lastly, where the intervention of more than one regional organization is required, then experience has shown that it is of prime importance to ensure that these organizations coordinate their activities to avoid overlap and duplication. And therefore, it is important not only to promote interregional cooperation, but also cooperation between sub-regional organizations in order to enhance complementarity, in order to place all capacity and abilities at the service of peace. Thank you.